Hey Barry, hope you're doing well. Here's the video from your lesson the other day. I just kind of want to recap the lesson and some of the principles that we talked about, and um, make this video for you to have as a reminder of things to work on. So, first of all, let's talk about your setup and the changes that we've made here. So, the first thing I'd like to start at the ground here and sort of work our way up. But one of the changes that we made is obviously we've got your feet flared out, sort of in this direction here. Knees flared out as well. Lower center of gravity, which is defined as your tailbone, once again, sort of pushed forward toward the target here. We got the handle of the golf club leaning slightly towards the target here, and your arms are hanging down very, very straight. You're in an awesome starting position here. And I've actually got on the right here, PGA Tour player Charlie Wee. You can see the similarities in your setup as it relates to his, and you can see that you're well positioned to put the club into motion. So again, just kind of recapping that lesson, I explained to you that many players struggle consistently striking the golf ball because they do not have control over the low point of their swing. As they make their backswing, a lot of weight shifts back into their trail leg, and that moves their low point back and creates a lot of chaos at the bottom of the swing arc. So one of the keys for you to be able to strike the ball consistently and strike the ball with compression and actually hit the draw that you want to hit is to keep your weight forward and keep the handle forward. And what that does is it creates an in-to-out swing path, sort of in this direction to the right. And that in-to-out swing path combined with a club face angle that is open in relation to the target line, but yet closed in relation to this path that I have drawn there. And those impact alignments are what allow you to hit a shot that has right to left curvature on it. So as we started talking about the pieces that that we needed to do to be able to control low point in our swing, we talked about getting the weight forward, we talked about keeping the weight forward, but we also talked about the relationship to the lower body. Number one, in the backswing, the right knee would straighten and the left knee would flex. And while that was occurring, to put the club into motion, we would feel like the left shoulder was working downward. I actually described it to you as you going from a forward tilt to a left tilt as your body turns and extends in the backswing. And kind of what that looks like, and I'll just sort of play the swing, in slow motion for you. You can see the weight is staying forward. I'd like the shoulders to turn a little bit steeper instead of more around your body. I like the left shoulder to work a little bit more down. You can see that the arms are clearly swinging inward, or making an inward path on the backswing. The weight staying forward, and we're getting to the top nicely here. Now as you start down, again the hips, the lower body pushes forward while the head stays on a wall, so that at impact we have a point of tangency to where the club's path is actually traveling out to the right and on to the finish. Okay, so I just want to kind of critique a couple of positions here, some things that I feel like we can still do better, and just kind of describe those things to you and show you with Charlie here on the right. So one of the things I noticed about your swing is later on as I started analyzing the videos is you do a lot of things really, really well. One thing I want us to do a little bit better is we talked about the wrist action that needs to occur. And in the backswing, your left hand vertically cocks. And that's what loads the angle that we have at the top of our backswing. Okay? And what I'm talking about is the angle formed between the left arm and the shaft. Alright, so you can see here at this position where the left arm is parallel to the ground, we don't have a quite vertical shaft here. We haven't cocked our left wrist enough. Whereas if you look at Charlie here on the left, you can see that as he moves the clubs away, his left wrist is cocking at a quicker rate than yours, so that when he gets to left arm parallel to the ground, the shaft is standing up more. Okay, and what the only reason I think this is a big deal is because if we don't properly load this power accumulator enough, it could result in a loss of power. So when we get to the top of your backswing here, and that's pretty much the top, so you can see that the angle formed between your left arm here and the shaft, somewhere about 119 degrees. Whereas if we get to Charlie's top of his backswing position, we can see we're probably closer to, 84 degrees here. So much closer to 90 degrees, for Charlie. And what that means is he has more power, more energy stored up there. It's also going to slightly delay the release of the shaft and the wrist angles into impact, which is going to help him produce a slightly more forward shaft lean than you. So we talked about forward shaft lean and its importance of sort of de-lofting the club with our shorter irons. That's how we hit the ball with compression, and how we hit the ball, a little bit further. And distance was one of your concerns. So that's the reason why I'm sort of pointing that out. But as we take a look at your impact positions as it relates to Charlie's, you can see here that you've got forward shaft lean, which is awesome, and not many players have that. But you can see, the tour player, how they have tremendously more forward shaft lean. You can see there's more angle formed between the right arm and the shaft here versus yours. Okay? Again, that's the only reason I wanted to point that out, because I think that's a pretty simple fix. I think it's something that you can work on. You don't even need a golf club. You don't even need to hit balls to do it. You can do it in front of your mirror. I also want to... So the further comparison I want to make here is, if you take a look at these impact positions, I want you to notice where Charlie's lower center of gravity is. And again, that's defined as, sort of his belt buckle. And I'll just put, maybe a little bit of a circle right there. Okay? You can see that it's well forward, and you can also see that his hips are starting to unwind or sort of open to the target. And if I put a little circle where his upper center of gravity is, the middle of his chest, you can see if I draw a line between these 2 points, and this isn't an exact measurement. I may have the belt buckle a little too far forward here, but just to illustrate the point, his spine is tilting away from the target. Okay, that hip slide, that linear movement of the lower center of gravity, your tailbone or belt buckle sliding toward the target, is what gives us this spinal tilt away from the target. And one of the things I want you to notice here is Charlie's head level doesn't go up or down very much, because the lower body pushes forward. It moves out from under the upper center of gravity. Okay? That tilt is what keeps his inclination stable, and his inclination is his tilt to the ground, the height of his head. You can see that it stays steady, and that's because the hips, the lower center of gravity, is moving out from under the upper center of gravity. Well, if we take a look at your swing over here, I want you to notice from here sort of the level at your head. See, you can see how your head is up, kind of dips below. So the head is slightly moving up and down. I also want you to notice how in this position, if you just focus on your knees and on your feet, you can see as the club is dropping, you're actually getting onto your toes, and you're releasing the flex in your legs too soon. And what I mean by too soon is that at impact, your left leg is almost locked. It's almost straight. You're up on your right toe right now, but if you look at Charlie's, you'll see his right foot is still down at impact, and the right foot is sort of banking inward. It's sort of rolling. The foot is rolling in this fashion inward, whereas you're already up on your toe because you've released the flex in your legs too soon. Now, let me explain something to you. The second that this left leg straightens or locks, so to speak, it's no longer, the hips are no longer pushing forward. They're actually moving slightly backwards. Okay? So this is a pretty easy fix for you. I want you to feel as though you're keeping the flex in your knees a little bit longer. You're sort of lagging your knees as you push your hips forward in this direction through impact. Right foot stays down on the ground and sort of banks and rolls inward. So again, awesome job in your first lesson, man. Get that camera like we spoke of. Get out to the range. Get Petra to take a few videos of your swing and send them to me, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys. Hope this helps.